This case combines some of the most horrific elements of the cases involving Jimmy Savile, Jeffrey Epstein, and Harvey Weinstein. We will say it plainly, Mohamed Al-Fayed was a monster.
The allegations against Mohamed Al-Fayed include serial rape, attempted rape, sexual battery, and sexual abuse of minors. They involve doctors administering invasive gynecological exams as a condition of employment for some of the employees who were targeted by Mohamed Al-Fayed for sexual abuse by him. He was the epitome of a serial sexual abuser.
The surveillance in place at the time was absolutely extensive. The phone lines were bugged. There was video surveillance in place throughout the offices, aside, of course, from the chairman's office, where there was no video at all. Ladies were frequently followed, and we have witness evidence that we have obtained from members of the security team who had the job of keeping an eye on those ladies, to check what they were doing, to even check if they were in relationships. One woman we know was 16 or 17, and she was sent to be followed by a member of the security team to check if she was in a relationship. If they ever attempted to complain about the sexual assaults, we know from our work that we've undertaken that they would receive threats along the lines of, "You'll never work in London again. I know where you and your family live." Often, they would be demoted, and false allegations would be made about them, so that they had no choice at all but to leave Harrods.
I was subjected to an unnecessary and intrusive medical examination. I was never given those results. I was subjected to AIDS and STD testing without consent, and now believe in hindsight, I was checked for my purity. We would be sent to see Al-Fayed because he had a job for us to do. It was always more of a friendly chat than actual work. But then these private meetings turned into more. A forced kiss, his hands gripping your face to his lips, or pulling you down on his lap, where his hands were free to explore any part of your body that he wished. These incidents lasted seconds, but the fear instilled left me paralyzed. Al-Fayed brushed off these moments like they had never happened. One night I was asked to stay late. This was to be my final night. He summoned me up to his private apartment on the pretext of a job review. I was escorted by one of his security guards who ushered me into his private sitting room. The door was locked behind me. Al-Fayed handed me a glass of champagne and told me to sit. Looking around, I saw his bedroom door partially open. There were sex toys on view. I felt petrified. I perched myself at the very end of the sofa, and then it came. Mohamed Al-Fayed, my boss, the person I work for, pushed himself onto me. I fell to the floor with him still on top of me, but I managed to kick free and free myself. I ran towards the door. I told him I was meeting my father for dinner and he would be worried that I was late. He just laughed at me. He then composed himself and he told me in no uncertain terms that I was never to breathe a word of this to anyone. If I did, I would never work in London again, and he knew where my family lived. I felt scared and sick. Eventually leaving Park Lane, I never set foot in his private office again. These events impacted me for many years to come. I struggled with confidence around men, and in particular male bosses, and also in my personal relationships. Seeing his obituary just over a year ago triggered such a huge emotion. I couldn't believe that this monster had gotten away with his crimes. Thankfully today, this is a different story, and I am truly grateful for that. We all stand together, and if you can stand together as a woman, you have the strength to not be afraid anymore.